camaraderie amongst all our fighters, amongst all our students. And as we say, like, we care about respect from all the way from the adults down to the kids. And I've seen it. I go to kid jiu-jitsu tournaments and I'm hearing other coaches like tell their kids, "Hey, break their arm, break their arm." I was like, "Are you serious?" And while I'm telling our kids to fight hard, like, a perfect example was I saw a match with one of my male students, and he went against another female student from an opposing school, and he dominated her, but put her like in the most gentle armbar and controlled it when he could have easily just cranked really hard. And I see with some of my other kids, like when they hold their submissions, they like holding away to give the kid ample time to tap out. And I love seeing that. And I know there's people out there that are just telling like, rip the arm off, whatever, do whatever it takes. No, like I care about seeing like the character build with our community. And I see with the adults too. And that's the kind of the vibe that we want to bring to our gym. A sense of respect.
Yeah, and we have one of our sponsors, which I want to thank our sponsors, Matthew Dodge from Dodge Sports and Reach Combat. Matthew Dodge, he has a sports agent, has UFC fighters, and we talk about all the time that because when he gives advice to all the professional fighters to get in the UFC, Bellator, whatever, you want sponsors. Sponsors want a positive image. They want they will not sponsor you. They will not give you your money if you're not a positive product and a positive image. So even at a professional level, that is very, very, very important. Let's get into the UFC. Before we start that, I just found something I want to talk to you about. They're talking about that fight island, and I think about Bruce Lee Into the Dragon, Into the Dragon, where it was a fight island.
Oh, yeah, Mortal Kombat, everything.
Yeah, fight island. And they're talking about McGregor and Masvidal possibly for the BMF title.
Oh, that would be a fantastic fight. That's a strictly money fight, but that's going to be an entertaining fight.
It is, but I think it'll be entertaining because I think styles makes fights, and I think each of them bring a kind of cool style thing to the fight. What do you think about their styles? Do you think it makes a good style matchup?
Definitely. I do feel like Masvidal is going to definitely have the size on McGregor. So that's going to be like we saw it between, and mind you, we saw it between Masvidal and Nate Diaz, and we saw how big Nate Diaz was versus McGregor. So I can only imagine how like putting Masvidal and McGregor will be. So that's something he's definitely going to have to. I think that's going to be a little bit of an uphill battle, but of course if he wins, he's going to win all the fans all over again. At the same time as Masvidal wins, and we're going to see like Masvidal, I think, really take his spot into like fame. And who doesn't want to see like a Miami guy coming, through the hustle and rising up? So.
Yeah. And he's, Masvidal, for me, like he's such a complete fighter and he's so dynamic. And like you said, and his physique, he has so many things that this will be a different person from McGregor to fight that he's fought before. I think that if McGregor could fight his fight of hit and not be hit and strategic, the thing with McGregor that it's been, and we only see what's in the media and we see what's happening through the fights and whatnot. And he said it himself that, I couldn't believe that he said it himself that for the Khabib fight, he didn't train. He was going in and out of the gym and not coming in, leaving when he wanted to. I mean, how could you do that and fight for the title with, and then you saw when he does get prepared, you get the results. Exactly. But I'm excited. I hope that happens. I hope also with whoever, it doesn't matter, Ferguson or Gaethje, who wins. I hope Ferguson fights Khabib. I would like to see different styles really fight with Khabib. I think Khabib can be beaten if you keep it in the center of the ring. You do not go up against the cage, and you don't get on the ground on the bottom of him.
It's definitely going to be. Yeah, I agree to that. It's definitely going to be a physical fight, especially against Khabib. Like, Khabib is such a strong grappler, and I'm watching videos of he's taking DC down, Daniel Cormier, an Olympic wrestler, for Khabib to be able to work DC down like that. That can only just exemplify like how astounding his grappling can be. But yeah, it's going to have to be somebody that has really good defensive wrestling, someone that's got really good footwork and angles for their striking. To be able to like kind of pick Khabib apart, unless you can just put in like a jiu-jitsu wizard that can like really like make Khabib pay for taking him down. But even then, like, Khabib is phenomenal. Like when it comes to groundwork, he doesn't need a jiu-jitsu. He just needs to ground and pound and be able to pass and get great positions on a lot of guys. That's why I thought Tony would have been a great fight. Like even though you wouldn't say like Tony's like a ADCC jiu-jitsu champion, but he was going to have a threatening jiu-jitsu game that would probably make Khabib think twice about taking him down. And then Tony would have had that striking. So that's why I felt like Tony was going to be a really good fight. But with the coronavirus, it is what it is. But, Justin Gaethje was able to step in, and that's going to be a firework fight. That's going to be hands, feet flying everywhere in that one.
Yeah. That's what they say. That's what they say is fireworks. I'm looking here at the odds. The odds got Ferguson ahead of Justin Gaethje. I think Ferguson will pull it off. I think Justin Gaethje though is very dangerous. His striking coach is Trevor Berwick or Trevor. I forget his last name, but he's Rose Namajunas striking coach, an incredible striking coach himself. So I think it is going to be a very fast pace. Who do you pick, and what do you think about that fight?
So, as we talked about before, Justin Gaethje, like I love his rise to fame, but he was kind of like a cannon fodder. Like he was willing to sacrifice his body to get that knockout. And while fight fans can like really appreciate that, when it comes to like a martial artist aspect, you can probably see like how that can be damaging. But people are, Justin Gaethje, he's a guy that's hungry. He wants to win. I don't know if he wants to fame. I can't really speak for him as his goals, but he wants to succeed. That's definitely what. While Tony Ferguson, he's taking more of a tactical approach, but he's another guy that's just hungry into doing, accomplishing his goals. And when we kind of talk about McGregor and how we talked about McGregor's training style, I've always felt this. I call it like the champions like leisure is. Sometimes when a lot of these guys become champions or become really famous, they tend to slack off in their training. They tend to get comfortable. But it's the guys that are starving. It's the guys that can't eat at home, the ones that don't have a good living situation. Those are the guys that are fighting their soul out to succeed.
Yeah, like they say in Rocky, the eye of the tiger, the eye of the tiger. Okay, so we have the odd makers have Henry Cejudo ahead of Dominic Cruz. Again, Dominic Cruz, I like him. I want him to win, but I think I'm going to go with the odds. I think Henry Cejudo is too young, too strong, too developing, too improving, even though Dominic Cruz is, I think, a master at MMA. Who do you got going in there in that fight?
Definitely. Like Dominic Cruz, again, a great fighter that I love. For me, he put footwork really back on the map. And after watching his fights, like it was having me improve on my footwork, and just seeing like he was able to put everything together. And again, I enjoyed his rivalry versus Team Alpha. What a fantastic rivalry for him to go through everybody, like Uriah Faber or TJ Dillashaw, and then to kind of end with like Cody Garbrandt. Little bittersweet, but when it comes down to Henry Cejudo, like as we talked about, like the champion's leisure, like he's the opposite. He's a guy that knows how to be a champion multiple times. So as you see, like he doesn't stay complacent. He's a guy that even though he's a champ, he continues to work hard and continue to improve. And it's amazing to see to be an Olympic champion wrestler to go in and be a UFC champion. That's phenomenal, and you can kind of see in his mindset. So I agree that like Dominic Cruz is kind of going against Father Time, while Henry Cejudo is only just moving on up. So odds, I agree to Cejudo, but being a giant Dominic Cruz fan, I would love to see him pull it off. Maybe we'll see a miracle this Saturday.
And then the other fights are exciting. I'm going to go through those, and I'm going to pick the ones that I like, and you can talk about the ones you like. You got two animals going at each other, Francis Ngannou and Rosenstruck. Somebody's going to get knocked out in that fight.
That's almost every heavyweight fight. That's so entertaining.
Those not only heavyweights, those are hard hitting heavyweights. Kevin Qatar, Jeremy Stevens, Qatar, they have Qatar favorite, they have Nogano favorite. Then a fight that I want to see, I just want to see it. I think it's going to be interesting. Is Anthony Pettis against Donald Cerrone. They got Anthony
Mhm.
Pettis as a favorite. I think Anthony Pettis has the youth. I think he has more to lose. That if he loses, uh, I don't know, in his career, I think he needs this victory. I think Donald Cerrone is a legend. I think he can retire tomorrow and it'll be fine. Um, but if Donald Cerrone shows up, then things will turn. Who do you got in that fight?
So in that one, on paper, I would agree. Anthony Pettis should be winning, but as we talked about, they both have the same issue of that, fighter mindset going in. There's fights where both of them, they're either on or they're off. As we saw with Cerrone in the last fight with McGregor, it was definitely off. He didn't want to be there. So it makes me question for him to take this Anthony Pettis fight, but to me, it sounds like he's motivated again. Like he probably wants to shake off that loss really bad. So I wouldn't be surprised if Cerrone wants to put it on because he lost to Pettis before too. So I'm sure there's a lot of motivating factors. So
Yeah,
if I was to put some bets, I would probably put some bets on Cerrone if I want to win a little bit of cash.
yeah. That's a
Hint,
good
hint.
idea.
So
That's a good
yeah.
idea. Then we have the football player Harding against Jorgan De Castro. They got Harding winning that one. This is an interesting fight I want to see because we have Fabricio Verdú coming back against Aleski Olenik, the Sambo guy. They have him as a favorite. I see Fabricio winning by a knockout because Oleksik likes to take shots and Fabricio can give a very good shot. We talked about that he's training over at King's MMA. The gentleman's name, I always forget his name.
Rafael Cordero.
Corderos.
Mm.
Mestre Cordero. Uh, I mean, he goes back to the shoot days, Brazil. He trained monsters over there in Brazil. So I'm gonna go with Fabricio on that. What do you think?
I could agree. I watched the other gentleman's fight, Alexei, against common opponent, Alistair Overeem. Overeem was able to get the knockout on Alexei, while like Fabricio and Alistair had a very awkward fight in Strikeforce, but I believe they fought before in Pride, if I'm not mistaken. But as we see, like Fabricio Verdun, ADCC champion, like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu legend in his own right, and for him to also develop such a strong striking game, and he puts everything together, as we saw with his knockout with Mark Hunt. He's able to fake takedowns and catch him with a flying knee for one of the best, like one of the most famous K1 strikers to actually enter the UFC. So I really feel like Fabricio is going to like put everything together and just pick this guy apart. Um, and as we know, like Rafael Cordero takes care of anybody that goes to King's MMA.
Yes,
We've
I,
seen
I
him
just
like very strong, offensive Muay Thai tactics over there.
yes, we talked about it before. I saw him training, holding the pads for Mike Tyson, that's
Mhm.
training to come back and do some exhibition matches, and he said that his he thought his life was was gonna flash right in before him hitting those pads. Um, so he's definitely an elite instructor. Then we have the female MMA, which I like to see the females get in there. We have two females. We have Carla Esparza and Michelle Watterson. They have Esparza. The odd makers have her winning on our favorite. Um, and I can see that. But you know what? I'm going to go with Michelle Watterson. I think I've seen her improve every time she's come to improve more. Um, what do you think about that match?
So I know Color Spas is a cookie monster. I know she relies heavily on her ground game. Um, So obviously, if she could take this fight to the ground, I could see her just dominating. But at the same time, I think Michelle Watterson is another character that has like a really well-rounded game, but her forte is with the striking. And when it comes to striking, I see Carla like she gets hesitant. So if she's able, to light her up a little bit, I think Carla's grappling is gonna not be very effective.
And she
So
has a tendency of eating. She has a tendency of eating strikes. Also,
mhm.
yeah. Like this whole card is like unbelievable. You have Jacare Sosa, Uriah Hall fighting. They have Sosa winning that.
that
That is going to be right there an incredible fight. What do you think?
I saw that on the card too, and I was like, "Woo, that's going to be very interesting." As we know, Uriah Hall, very diverse, explosive striking. Had that just absolutely devastating knockout in that UFC. The Ultimate Fighter, one of his prelim kind of like matches. But Jacare, another well-respected jiu-jitsu legend, going in and just he's getting his hands and feet together. But definitely he's going to need to take this fight to the ground, and he better not think he can strike with this guy. He just needs to play his game and just do what we love to see him do, jiu-jitsu. Just make it happen. It's like even though the casual fan may not appreciate it as much, like the real fighting group of fans can really appreciate like a really fantastic jiu-jitsu showcasing, and that's what we're hoping to see as well.
Sensei TJ Sanchez, let me do. Yeah, I was gonna say, can you bring the camera down a little more? Okay, the rest of the card is Vincent Luigi. They got him over Nico Price, Bryce Michelle. They got him over Charles Rosa, Ryan Spann versus over Sam LV. Now, I just wanted to touch about something you said that's so important. I think one of the keys is having the person fight your fight. Great example was Mayweather, 50-0. Think about this. Let's say the 48th guy. The 48th guy's had 47 fight tapes of watching him fight. So you know how he's going to fight. But how come they can't beat him? Because every time he get in there, they fight Mayweather's fight. He makes people fight his fight. I think that's very important to. I've seen sometimes, for example, I saw a Cuban Olympic medalist in judo fighting in a local professional match, and I wanted to see how he's going to do his transition to MMA. He goes in and he starts boxing with the guy, and he gets knocked out. So I kind of asked, why did he do that? He says, well, because he wanted to show him that he could hang with him in the striking also. And I'm thinking, you got to bring the guy to your element. What do you think about that?
I've seen it many times before, especially being a fight fan, watching it. It's still a mystery to me as well. It's like you have this fantastic background, but you don't want to rely on it. Like Joel Romero in his last fight, it's like, you're an amazing wrestler. How come I'm not seeing a lot more takedowns? And I think it becomes like the whole UFC hype, as in like every time I think a person decides to step in there, is they try to make it like a showcase that all the fans can appreciate, and sometimes it doesn't work that well. They want to go in, stand and bang to the applaud of the crowd, but they forget what allowed them to win and allowed them to be there in the first place. So again, it's always about trying to play to your strengths. I tell my fighters to play to your strengths. You don't want to go and fight the guy where they're strong at. And again, to this mystery, unless like you talk to them yourselves and figure out really what was going on, I can't really speak for these guys.
We talked about it also. We also talked about it last time. Is that there's a lot of psychology going on. The mindset is also the mind is. I believe fighting is. I would go as bold to say 75% mental. If the mindset is not there and the mind is not prepared, that has a very big factor. I want to kind of capitalize everything about what's happening in MMA. I think believe it or not, I think it's a very exciting time for MMA. This Saturday, next Wednesday, and next Saturday, we have back-to-back 3 events happening in Jacksonville, Florida, with the UFC. The next events, you see a lot of young guys coming up. They're going to be showcasing a lot of young blood coming up. Then I can't wait to see that Fight Island, to see what's going to happen with that Fight Island. And then the other leagues, I'm sure, will be opening up. Bellator's come a long way. They're doing great, a tremendous job. I love the one from Asia over there. Those guys,
ONE FC.
Yeah, those guys even hit. I mean, they remind a little bit of Pride. They hit on the ground. When they're hitting kicks on the ground and everything. So I think it's a very exciting time for martial arts and mixed martial arts. What do you think about the state of mixed martial arts and martial arts?
I love the growth. I definitely love the growth of the martial arts. My one maybe small criticism about UFC, or at least the ability to build stars, as we're literally having like a fight card almost every weekend, every other weekend. As a fight fan, you love it, but to like really establish stars is hard. Because back in the day, maybe UFC events were like once every 2, 3 months, and like because when a card came, everyone was really anxious for it. It's all right, who's fighting? Who's fighting? And then you get to see these names, Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz, and the fact that these cards are every 3 months, they were always on that card. So they're able to build like that star power. So I believe like in these now and day, like with so many fights happening, a lot of fighters get lost in the shuffle. And I think it's a shame to kind of see like so many interim belts being thrown around. That is like there's 5 champions in one division now, and you're like, who am I supposed to follow? But that's why like it's at times easier for me to follow Bellator. It's easier for me to follow ONE FC because again the cards are kind of spread out.
And you know,
So
and you have a lot of interesting things happening with those other fight leagues. Is we had, I think, one of the first trades in MMA. You know, Demetrius Johnson went to Bellator, and
exactly.
Akins came over to UFC. Um, Boxing is getting involved in MMA. Oscar De La Hoya opened up Golden Boy MMA, had his first MMA match. They had um, Chuck Liddell or Tito Ortiz fight.
Yeah.
Um, UFC is going to be opening up boxing, so I think they're going to have a lot of cross fights there. A lot of interesting, like you said, a lot of growth, a lot of interesting happening things. But you got to be, like you said, you got to be careful with growth.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to make sure everybody got what is the social media of the academy, so if people are interested in training, they can go.
Oh, definitely. You can hit us at ATT Davie on Instagram, or even ATT Weston to look at our schools. Again, very welcoming, located in Davie, Florida, Weston, Florida. So look to hit us up. My name is TJ. I'm one of the black belt instructors. I'm at Davie all the time. And Sam Clayton, he's over at Weston as one of the main instructors. And you'll see Mauricio at both gyms. That crazy dude. You'll see him training.
And if people have any questions about training, MMA, Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, what's your social media so they can get a hold of you?
You can reach me at TJ, TEEJ Sanchez on Instagram. You can see me on Taylor Sanchez on Facebook. Either way, I'm an easy guy to talk to, so don't be shy. But yeah, those are my social media accounts. So.
Yeah, we want to make sure, like in the 305FIGHTS, we want to make sure that we promote all the schools, all the coaches, because myself, like you know, we're a product of martial arts. Martial arts change our life. So we're changing lives. Like that's why I say we're champions rise. So, and I welcome all the schools, all the instructors, anybody that wants to promote themselves, get a hold of us, 305fights.tv. If you are interested about training and whatnot, amateurs, MMA, professionals, we have 305 Fights Gym. We also are associated with Dodge Sports. Anybody that wants information, a sports agent to go into professional UFC, Bellator, to learn about the business or whatnot, reach out to us. We'll give you information. These are people that will give you free information to help you, like we said, as a community and as athletes and everything, rise. I want to thank you again, sir, for your time. Any closing thoughts, any shout outs you want to give to anybody?
So shout outs I want to give again, my lovely wife over here, Rebecca Scorche, of course, Baga, the crew, Mauricio, Sam, one of my assistant instructors, Dawson. He'll love to hear this. And then all our upcoming fighters, Brian, Dave, Mitchell, Jonathan, like a lot of guys that are special, you know, to me as well. And again, hopefully you'll see a lot of them coming out to your show too.
Yeah, I'm looking forward. I'm really excited to see the young blood, see the other guys coming in. Also, thank you much for Rebecca for having the patience with us and giving the time and energy. You know, this takes time and energy from people. And like I said, you have the information. I'm going to close it out with 305 Fights with the Champions Rise 305, donde surgen los campeones. Have a great night. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. You too.
305 Miami, the champion league.